If you're a man who has suddenly found yourself in the role of a caregiver, well, this is for you. We're going to walk through some really important insights that can hopefully make this journey feel a little less lonely and a lot more manageable. So, let's get into it.
Does that hit home? It's a feeling that comes up all the time for caregivers. This sense of being completely isolated, like you're on your own island navigating one of the toughest jobs in the world. And look, you're not just imagining it, and you are for sure not the only one who feels this way.
And you know, that feeling of isolation often stems from a pretty simple fact. Society just doesn't always picture men in this role. When we talk about caregivers, the image that pops into most people's heads isn't usually a son or a husband or a brother. But that is the reality for so many. Millions. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many men are caregivers right now. The point here is, while you might feel like you're completely alone in this, you are actually part of this huge, often unseen community of men doing this incredibly important work, day in and day out.
Okay, so let's dig into the first big hurdle a lot of men run into. It's this myth that's just so deeply baked into our culture, this idea that real strength means you have to carry the entire weight of the world on your own shoulders.
We've all heard some version of this, right? That voice in your head that says, I got this, or I don't need help. There's this pressure to be the rock, the guy who can handle anything that comes his way without even blinking. But here's the thing. Caregiving isn't just another challenge. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
And that's exactly where that path leads. It's not a matter of if you'll burn out trying to do it all yourself. It's really just a matter of when. And once you hit that wall, who's there to take care of your loved one? And maybe more importantly, who's there to take care of you?
So this is the first big mental shift, and it might be the most important one. Real strength isn't about having some bottomless well of endurance. No way. True strength is having the wisdom to know your own limits, and then having the courage to actually reach out. That's strength that lasts.
And asking for help doesn't have to be this big, dramatic thing. I mean, look how simple some of these first steps can be. It can literally start with just one phone call to a buddy you trust, or a quick text to your brother or sister. It could even be finding an online group where you can just be anonymous. The point isn't to fix everything all at once. It's just to crack the door open a little bit and let someone else in.
All right, let's move on to the next myth, and wow, is it a big one. It's this idea that to be a good caregiver, you've got to be a robot. You know, you have to shove all your feelings way down deep because emotions, well, they just get in the way of getting things done.
But the reality of caregiving is that it is an incredibly emotional job. You are going to feel frustrated when things just don't go right. You are going to feel guilty, constantly wondering if you're doing enough. And you are absolutely going to feel sadness. These feelings, they aren't a distraction from the job. They are part of the job.
So here's the insight. Trying to ignore those feelings doesn't make them disappear. It just makes them heavier. The real breakthrough happens when you just accept them. When you realize these emotions don't make you weak or bad at this. They make you human. And in a way, they're what connect you to the person you're caring for.
And dealing with those feelings doesn't have to be some huge, complicated thing. Just look at these simple steps. Jotting down your thoughts in a notebook, talking to a professional who really gets it, or even just stopping for 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes, to just sit and breathe can make a world of difference.
So once we start to bust these myths, something really interesting starts to happen. We begin to see a new reality take shape. We see that this journey, as hard as it is, can actually build a different, maybe even a deeper kind of strength.
You've heard this before, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. It perfectly captures the idea of self-care. It's not selfish, it is absolutely essential. I mean, if you're running on fumes, totally exhausted and frustrated, what do you really have left to give? But notice how small the refills can be. A daily walk, an hour for a hobby that's just for you, even just learning to say no so you can actually get some rest.
This whole experience, it builds qualities in us that we're not always taught to see as strengths. Let's look at a few. First, empathy. The ability to really truly feel what another person is going through.
Next up, vulnerability. And I mean that as the courage to admit you don't have it all figured out, and the strength to actually ask for help.
And finally, tenderness. A kind of gentle, compassionate approach that is honestly one of the most powerful forces there is. See, these aren't weaknesses. In the world of caregiving, they're basically superpowers. And this really is the ultimate takeaway.
this role, this experience, it doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't shrink you. It actually challenges you to grow, to completely redefine what strength and masculinity even look like. You're not just expanding the definition for yourself, you're doing it for everyone who's watching.
So if any of this has been hitting home for you, if you felt seen at all in the last few minutes, you might be thinking, okay, so what now? Where do I go from here?
While a lot of the ideas in this explainer come from some really great work on this exact topic, you can check out the book, find more resources online, and connect with communities of other guys who are walking the same path. The biggest thing to remember is you don't have to walk it alone.
So we want to leave you with this question to think about. After everything we've talked about, after breaking down the myths and looking at a new kind of strength, what does compassion in action actually look like for you right now, today? And not just for the person you're caring for, but also for yourself.